Hey gamers, Mugluck here, and today we've been sponsored to introduce Guild Wars 2 to a WoW World First Raider and show them how great this game is. Today I'll be joined by Naguura, whose links are down below, who is currently trying out a Necromancer around level 30 and has lots of questions. My job is to show her around to some fun content, give her some things to look forward to in the game, and alleviate any frustrations that come from being a new player and not yet understanding some of the game systems. She had a lot of questions, which I absolutely loved, so this may be a long video, so I will include timestamps down below. A quick nod to our sponsor, Guild Wars 2, who just released their 6th expansion, Visions of Eternity, which includes new elite specializations for every class, offering new ways to play, an overhaul to the skimmer mount giving it new abilities and smoother handling, a new homestead map with a fully demolishable housing plot, an upcoming fashion template system, a challenging new raid coming down the line, and much more. Click the link in the description or pinned comment if you'd like to try Guild Wars 2 for free. Without further ado, let's jump into part 1 of 2 of helping a WoW veteran learn Guild Wars 2. I thought one thing that would be nice, because like my audience is hearing you for the first time, yours is hearing me for the first time. I thought maybe we could start by like introducing ourselves to each other, if you're okay with that.
Yes, that's perfect. I wanted to suggest the same thing.
All right.
Okay, you start.
Oh, she put. It's supposed to be ladies first. I wasn't prepared. Okay. Well, my name's Muck. I have been an MMO player since EverQuest a very long time ago. I did play many years of World of Warcraft, so I can talk the talk if we need to do that. But I have been out of that scene for a while. While I was looking into who you were, because I was not familiar with your work until very recently, I saw that you've done some World First stuff. That is freaking awesome. I managed to get a few server first back in Icecrown and in Cataclysm, but since then I have been over here in Guild Wars 2, and I'm most known for making a bunch of guides, a bunch of videos like here's how to do this raid boss, here's how to do this build, stuff like that. So I'm the little dude with the pointy hat and a whole lot of guide videos at this point.
Yeah. All right, that is very cool. So the guides that you're making in this game, is it about everything? Is it mainly about like PvE stuff or just specific like classes or anything?
I really like the evergreen guides. Yeah, plus they pay for themselves more over time, honestly. So anytime they release something where I'm like, this is probably never going to change, like here is how to craft this legendary item, or here is how to defeat this raid boss. I try to put out videos on those. Build guides are, really hot for a while, but then they often go out of date. So I do have some build guides.
Here's a link.
However, there are others that I would recommend. Like if you're like, hey, I want the top raid builds right now, I'd be like, I know a guy, and I would point you to that rather than link one of my own videos for that.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. All right, well, my name is Naguura, and I've been playing MMOs for the longest time. Initially, I only played World of Warcraft. I started in, I don't know, forever ago in vanilla. And I'm still playing now, but I did diversify the content a little bit. I'm also trying out different MMOs nowadays. I'm also doing like IRL streaming a little bit as well lately. But yeah, I've been playing WoW forever. I've been doing World First raiding there as well. At this point, a long time ago, I got a couple of World Firsts for a couple of expansions, but I haven't been doing it for quite a while now. When I stopped World First raiding, I still stayed in like the high-end PvE content kind of niche where I did content for it, guides as well, but I also am a esports commentator as well for WoW Esports, and I've also been in like high-end guilds still, and was doing like M+ and stuff like that. So basically just focusing on educational content and high-end content still, but not going like super ham anymore, like not in this like world first kind of scene. Because let's be honest, that scene in WoW is crazy nowadays. Like these players, they're playing so much. I don't have that kind of time anymore, or at least I don't want to put that kind of time into the game anymore. I technically would have the time since I'm a streamer, but yeah. I started Guild Wars 2 like maybe a couple of weeks ago. For the first time, I've heard of Guild Wars 2 many times, but I was in this era where I played WoW only, and I never played really like anything else, even though my friends said, you should try this, you should try that. And I was like, oh no, I'm a WoW player. Why would I play anything else? So lately, now that I actually am not so addicted to WoW anymore, I actually tried different games, and that's why I tried Guild Wars 2 for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. I do think it's like very different to what I know from WoW. Like the combat itself is incredibly different, and also this kind of like horizontal progression that people keep talking about is something that it's intriguing to me, but I also don't quite understand it fully just yet. So I'm glad you're here and offering to like coach me because I have a lot of questions.
Oh yeah, I would love to talk about that. So to talk about like the horizontal progression for a second, I mentioned a minute ago that I like making the videos that never go out of date, and I mentioned raid bosses. That is something that's really different from WoW. You know, in WoW, at least I don't know if this has changed because you know it's been years since I've played WoW. But you know, if a new expansion come out, you might be able to go back and solo the raids from the old expansion to farm like mounts and stuff like that. Like that's what I remember. In this game, every raid boss that's ever come out is still a max level raid boss.
Oh,
all
okay.
of them. Okay, now I will say there's a lot less raids in this game than WoW. It's got a smaller development team. There are currently 8 raid wings. There are other large content such as strike missions and convergences and stuff like that. But the raids, every max level raid boss is still a max level raid boss that has ever come out.
Okay.
They're evergreen at this point.
So does it mean so once you're level 80, let's say you played this game, like when was level 80 is max, right?
Yes.
That's the max level. When did that come out? Like was that already in the first time Guild Wars 2 came out, it was already level 80?
So I guess one thing I should have said in my intro, I did play this game when it came out. I got to max level. I honestly got bored of it, and I went on and did other things. I came back to this game 6 years ago. So my whole content creation thing started 6 years ago. So before that, I know like a bit of the history. I believe level 80 has always been the max level in the game. I think they have raised the gear item level one time since launch, and that was closer to launch than it is to now. And that is when they added Ascended gear, which is a pink text. You probably haven't seen any of that yet. But the gear tiers, there's like white items, which are not even magical. There's blue and green, and then yellow, and then orange is above that. Orange is near max. Like if you play this game and you just rush to max level in like a week, and then you just grab some orange items off the TP, you are almost max stats. And then you could literally just go right into raids if you want. Now, and Ascended gear is like 5 to 10% better stats than the orange gear, and Ascended gear has the highest stats in the game. And then you might hear people talk about Legendary gear. Legendary gear has the same numbers on it as the Ascended gear, but Legendary gear is really flashy. It has really cool graphics. You know, it's show-offy, and also you can change the stats on it. Like I remember a time in WoW where I had like a tank set of gear in my bag, and a heal set of gear in my bag, and a DPS set of gear in my bag. Legendary gear, you can set hotkeys to just change the stats on your armor whenever you're out of combat. So it's effectively like a legendary hat is every single max level hat in the game enrolled into one item. As long as you're out of combat, you can swap it. So those are just like a quality of life thing. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you're a player that actually plays this game a lot, and you already have like close to is there something called best in slot gear? Like, can you have best in slot?
Yeah. So like I said, Ascended gear and Legendary gear are tied for best in slot. The only thing is that the Legendary gear has that really nice quality of life that you can mess with when you are outside of combat, where you can change it. However, the Ascended gear, you're like, if you've got a guy in your raid that's in full Ascended and a guy that's in full Legendary and they have equal skill, they're going to be doing the same performance-wise. It's just Legendary is very show-offy and stuff like that.
So if a new expansion or new content comes out and you're a player that already has like really good gear, is it possible that this new content that came out doesn't have any like better items for you? It's just the content that you're playing basically, but you can't get any upgrades? Is that like a possibility?
This is the part where ex-WoW players, which was me once and now it's you, have to rewire their brains. It's not the same carrot on a stick that we're used to. What you said is true. Like Visions of Eternity is the newest expansion. It just came out. We're supposed to plug it today. It does not have new item upgrades for me because I'm a veteran player, but it did have new features. It added new elite specializations, which changed the way the game is played in literally every single game mode. So if you're hooked on PvP, raiding, worldview world, fractals, strikes, dungeons, open world bosses, whatever, all of those changed a bit because suddenly you've got necromancers that have become ritualists. You've got rangers that have become gale shots. You've got all these essentially 9 new classes running around, and the meta has shifted as a result of that.
Okay, that's another question I have, I guess, when it comes to classes and specializations. So there's usually a meta, I guess, like something that is like a best combination of specs to have in raids. Is it always kind of the same, or is it depending on the boss, or depending on what it is you're doing? And how important is it to have these like certain specs?
Okay, so with that, let me explain how group composition works. Raids in our game are 10-man, and Fractals were originally as the story goes, Fractals were the inspiration behind WoW's Mythic Plus system. Now, WoW's Mythic Plus system changed quite a bit. It very much took on an identity of its own, so Fractals are different from that. But Fractals, old school Guild Wars 2 players would be like, no, ours came first, and they'll whine about it. But Fractals are 5-man, essentially repeatable dungeon content with a lot of changing stuff each day. The main thing is that if you've got a 5-man group, you usually have a healer, and they're in charge of almost every buff on the party, a DPS, and you could call it an offensive support, that's in charge of the last few buffs that the healer couldn't provide, and their damage will be a little lower than a pure DPS. And then you got 3 DPS. There's no tank. There are some raid bosses that require a tank, and usually the healer just does that too. So, like, imagine like a paladin up front holding his shield up, and he's got like holy light pouring out of him, and it's healing everyone around him, and he's keeping the boss's attention, stuff like that. But in Fractals, the bosses are a bit smarter. They're not just going to chase the gnome and pigtails the whole time and ignore everybody else. They will hit whoever they want to hit. So if everybody has a heal button, they're 6 key by default. You have one already. Everyone has that. So if you get hit, you pop that, and you got your dodge rolls. And then anyone who's not getting hit is hitting the boss in the back. And if he changes his attention, then the person who is getting focused, then they run around and dodge, and the others hit him in the back. Stuff like that. As far as the composition, I'm going to show you something right now. I don't know if you've seen. If you will look at your buff bar, it's the icons that are above your 6 through 0. I'm just going to hit some buttons right now and just like throw some buffs on you. All right, so you can see like all of the little things that are popping up down there, right? So those are boons. In this game, they call them, the positive ones are boons, the negative ones are conditions. If you have all the standard boons on you in a raid setting, you are going to be possibly doing 2 to 3 times more damage and healing than you would if you were just no boons at all. Like, buffs in this game are way more... It's much more of a difference than just getting, like, Powered Fortitude and Arcane Intellect and Mark of the Wild and stuff like that in World of Warcraft. Like, they make a massive difference.
Are there, like... Is there only a certain amount of buffs you can have in total, or are there only that many in the game?
So remember I mentioned that there was like a heal support and also an offensive support in any group of 5? The reason for that is they have very carefully set it up to where it's not possible for one person to bring all of the buffs in a 5-man group. So you need the healer can bring almost all of them, and usually you got a couple more from that offensive support. And they've also streamlined all of the icons. So for example, if right here, there's a buff on your bar right now that looks like a sword called Might. That stacks up to 25 times. Each application of that increases your power. Basically, your unga bunga numbers get bigger. All right? So if we were in combat and we were getting hit and I'm just like, rolling through my rotation, I can get you to 25 stacks of Might and keep you there. And you'll stay there the entire time we're in combat until I run out of something to hit. That would be my job. So, like, if I'm playing a heal support, my damage is going to be low, but I can double yours. That's kind of the idea. It doesn't matter who provides you the Might. It doesn't matter if your healer is a necromancer, or if it's a druid, or if it's anything else. It will look like that icon with the sword. So they've, like, homogenized the icons to make it easy to recognize. There's, like, I don't know, 10 or 12 buffs and like 10 or 12 conditions, and once you recognize them, you'll be able to tell what's going on no matter who you're fighting or who you're fighting with. Like, if an elementalist sets you on fire, or if a engineer sets you on fire with a flamethrower, it doesn't matter if it was magic or technology, you're going to get a little debuff called burning. And you'll recognize that no matter what.
I think that's very nice that they did that. Okay, I have so many questions.
That's what I'm here for. Let's do it.
So the healer role, I guess it's just like depending on which kind of talents you're boosting. You can be a healer as any class.
So what you said is true, but I'd like to clarify it. So as you know, there's 9 base classes. You saw the character creation screen already. Any of those 9 classes can become a healer or whatever. But let's talk about the elite specializations. So you're playing a necromancer, right? A necromancer can become a scourge or a reaper or a harbinger, or the brand new one is ritualist. All right, let's pause on reaper. Reaper is, you know your shroud button? It's like F4 or F5 by default. Yeah, so when a Reaper does that, they form a large scythe out of magic in their hand. And they become the closest thing that this game has to WoW's Death Knight. The Reaper is basically the Necro saying, you know what, I'm going to throw hands. And they become a melee powerhouse. Okay? Now, the Reaper, very good at DPS, very good at solo content. It can't heal worth the crap. It's not going to be your group's healer. The Scourge could be a support if it wanted. The Harbinger can be kind of a support. I don't highly recommend it, but it can get the job done. The Reaper just doesn't. The Reaper's kit is for punching things in the face. The Reaper's kit is not for healing. So it is true that the Necromancer can become a healer, but it is not true that every one of its elite specs can. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. There's like I was really confused about this initially because I was in the character screen. I have not played this game before, right? And then I was like, hey guys, I want to be a ranged DPS. What do I play? And then my chat was like, well, technically you can play this, but then you have to go with this specialization and this weapon and like this thing. And it's like, what? Like, I don't understand. I just want to be a ranged. And I guess it's just like a little bit more complicated for a player to choose when you don't understand the system. And then the thing with the weapons, I also didn't quite fully understand, because I was asking, okay, so what weapon should I play? And people were saying, well, whatever you prefer. And I'm like, no, I want the best weapon. And I still don't know what I should be playing, so I guess I just picked something up.
By the way, I got you something here. I've prepared a bribe for you. If you would, if you'll check your mail. If you check your mail. So I looked at your one of your VODs to see what you were playing, and I saw that you were enjoying Staff Necro. So I mailed you one of my favorite staves just so that you could unlock the graphic. So
nice.
If you're interested in wielding a giant scythe, if you accept that into your bag and right-click it and hit Unlock Appearance, you could transmog your staff to that if you would like. And then the other stuff is just bigger bags for quality of life.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. And yes, I love scythes. I also, like in WoW, I play Moonkin basically, and yeah, I always had like big scythe. And I thought it looked so cool with the Necromancer as well. So I was like, yes, I need this. Very cool. Thank you, thank you.
Another question I get from WoW players and other games is like, okay, well, let's say I get to max level really fast. What can I work toward? And I'll be like, well, if you are interested in it, you can just get gear that, you know, is very unique and comes from raids and just shows off like, hey, look, I did this. It's kind of like earning a title, right? So I'm going to link you something in the chat. If you can right click on that, and that'll open a preview window for the thing I just sent you. It's called Oblivion.
Oh, wow. Okay, that is so cool.
That item drops from Doom, who in our game is kind of like the god of the underworld. So if you see... Now, granted, that's a max level staff. Anyone with a max level staff has the same stats. But if you see someone with this, it's like, oh, they fought Satan. Okay, they're a gamer, you know? So there is like prestige items you can get that show off, you know, things like that.
Oh, I do love that. That is something that that's something that I really liked about WoW initially, before the game was so old and like people replaced a million items and transmog was a thing, right? Nowadays, I feel like, oh, if I see somebody with a certain item from the past, it's not really a prestige item anymore because they could have just farmed it now, right? But I guess that's not the same case in this game, because if all of the max level content always is difficult and never becomes easy, then all of the things that you can get, like the looks of it, will always be a prestige item, I guess. That's actually a really cool thing. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and I will say that although all max level content is still max level content, power creep is a thing. So like Wing 1 raids, which was the first wing of raids that came out, it feels pretty easy if you compare it to Wing 8, simply because it came out a lot longer ago in the past. And, you know...
But does it have to do with power creep or with people just getting better at the game?
It's
Or
both. It's both. Like
Okay.
in the first wing of raids was added in Heart of Thorns. And at that time, if everybody was doing, I'm just going to give you some numbers here. If everybody in your squad was doing 10 to 20k damage per second, the boss would die as long as you did the mechanics. These days, there are classes that are easily over 30k. And like the really crazy gamers can hit like 40 to 50. So there are some bosses where if people are, like really, really good, you can skip entire phases. But if you're in a pug, you're never going to see that happen.
Okay. Okay, interesting. What about add-ons? Are those allowed or?
I've got some right now, and I would, I've got a lot to lose if I get in trouble with Mom and Dad ArenaNet. Yeah, add-ons are fine. I will say there are a few I could recommend you. Like, to give you an example, when you have got most everything in the game unlocked, you're going to have 9 mounts. That's a lot of buttons for mounts. One add-on I'm using allows me to hold down a button and it opens up a wheel and I can mouse over any of the mounts and release the key and it gets on that mount. So basically all 9 of my mounts are on a single button. That's an add-on and it's fine. Add-ons are totally okay. If you're looking for anything in specific, I can make some recommendations.
Okay. What about like damage beaters? Are these part of the game or is that also an add-on?
Both, sort of. There is a testing room in Lion's Arch. You know what? We've just been standing here for a long time. Here, hop on the turtle. This is the only 2-player mount in the game. You can also control the guns if you want.
Why was it like see-through for me?
They do that. Okay. Do you remember the time in WoW where people would mount up and stand on crucial NPCs and troll other people?
Oh, yeah.
So that is to combat that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this right here goes into a thing called, let's see, do I need to, Special Ops Training Area. All right, so if you hit accept, this is a room for testing. In this room, you can summon golems to beat on. You can turn on a damage field if you want to test healing. You can, there's a console you can interact with that will give you any buffs you want. But this is just a testing room. So in this room,
mode?
I'm sorry?
It's like a sandbox where you can actually just create stuff as well?
It's basically where people would like test DPS and things like that. So the enemies do not fight back. So like if I do this, I'm going to talk to this thing. I'm going to say, spawn me an average golem, nothing special. Then boom, there's a golem over here. Now, if you were to beat on this thing, when it gets to 25% health, 50% health, so basically every 25% of its health, it would report your damage per second up to that point. So this is the closest thing to an in-game damage meter for if you're just doing build testing. So like you could beat on this thing for a few minutes with Scepter, beat on it for a few minutes with Staff, whatever. So another thing you can do here is, hold on a second. I'm going to make you feel really strong for a moment here. All right, add boons all. Talk to this console here. Talk to this console. Yeah. And click adjust self and then add boons and then hit all.
Okay, nice.
And now you've got
like a certain amount of time, or does it stay forever?
They keep refreshing. But now, if you beat on this thing, you should see that your numbers are much bigger than they were before.
What's glancing mean and immune?
Immune means that, so if you look at the boss's health bar, you see how underneath the red health bar, there's like this iron-plated bar thing?
Yeah.
That means it cannot be CC'd. Stunned, knocked down, things like that. So the immune was probably you fired something that was a CC. Is the golem level 8? Oh, that's right. Yeah, Chad just made an excellent point. I think the golem's higher level than you.
I was like, I'm not doing any damage to this.
Gotcha. Okay. Anyway, the point was made. You asked about, is there a damage meter in the game? This is the closest thing to an in-game damage meter. There is also a community add-on called Arc DPS, which is a damage meter that is like a traditional one. You can see your party's DPS, you could see your DPS, stuff like that, and you could just put that anywhere you want on your screen. So if you want a traditional one, that does exist. It is a mod someone made. This is
still interesting though, because I guess it's like a simpler way to see how you can do more damage, I guess.
Yeah,
without you having to analyze numbers or whatever.
Yeah, it's a really nice room because, like, for example, we just had 9 new elite specs added into the game. I made a lot of videos on them, and when I was trying things out, this room is so valuable. Because you can just like spawn a golem, you can give yourself all the buffs, which basically simulates being grouped with competent people, and then you just wail on it, and then you just record that, and then change a weapon, wail on it, change a talent, wail on it, and stuff like that. And it makes for a very rapid, testing environment.
So I'm guessing that healing is actually somewhat difficult then, if you also have to tank and buff everyone, and you're a really important person, it seems like.
Yeah, you definitely are. So like, if you'll step away from the golem for a second, I'm going to turn something on here. All right, so this is a test for healers. This is a damage aura. So if you look at my health, and this would hit you really hard just because of the level difference, but I could like stand in this and I could just start, doing heals and stuff like that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
So most abilities in the game do 2 things or more. So for example, if I heal you with an ability, it might heal you, but then it also puts a regeneration on you. Stuff like that. So the way that healing works is for most of the support classes. Hold on, let me turn this off. What is going to happen is you'll have a rotation, and the rotation is basically keeping up all the buffs. And then it will also be providing some static healing. Like if I do this to you, I'm healing every second, but I'm also refreshing some buffs on you. So I would be doing that just like on a rotation basis, but then I would have some other buttons that are just really big heals that I save for like clutch situations.
Interesting. Yes, it's all a little bit complicated. So like one thing because when it comes to rotation, as a damage dealer, do you have like a set rotation that you actually follow, or is it more?
Most DPS do.
Okay.
Like, to give you an example, Reaper, which is a type of Necro, which you already know a little bit. Reaper does most of its damage in Shroud. And when you are in Shroud, you just hit really freaking hard. And so their goal is basically stay in Shroud as often as possible. So they drag out how long they're in Shroud, and then when they're out of Shroud, they are trying to get back into it as fast as they can. That's basically the linchpin of their rotation.
Yeah, I heard about like world bosses are also like much harder in this game, or like much, I don't know, more special, I guess. What's up with that?
It definitely depends on the world boss. I saw that you had fought Shadow Behemoth in one of your streams. Shadow Behemoth actually spawns in a few minutes. We could go do that. Shadow Behemoth was out at the launch of the game. It has gotten a makeover once in the last 10 years, but it is simple because it is in the human newbie zone. It is in a place where you might have level 8 players and level 80 players fighting side by side. So the mechanics are not that complex. However, if you've got a world boss that is in a level 80 only zone, it will have more mechanics, for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. One question, I guess, about raiding. So do most players actually, like, is there like guilds and you always play with the same people, or are most people just pugging? Like, how does that work?
It's definitely both. Over here, we're actually just a few feet away from it. This portal right here goes into what's called the Lion's Arch Aerodrome. If you just want to walk into this portal. So in here, the idea is you can take a portal or a blimp to go to any raid you want. So in here, you can just use the looking for group tool, which is in the top left of your screen, and join pug raids. And there's like no travel time. So there's portals all along the south wall. If you hit the M button to look at your map, there are a bunch of portals in here that go to all the different raid wings. And so you can easily just use the group finder, join a raid, and get there in seconds for any of them.
Very cool. Okay.
And of course, there are also people that do static raids. But it's very easy to do both with this central hub.
So you don't have some sort of like ID system like in WoW where it like resets like weekly? Or how does that work? Like, can you do the boss as many times as you want?
It does reset weekly, but let me give you an example. Let's say I go with a pug and I kill Raid Wing 1. And then you're like, oh, hey, Mike, I want to do Raid Wing 1. And I'll be like, oh, okay, well, I already did it. So if I am the leader of the group, it will be empty. So you make a group, I'll join you, and I can still help you. So I won't get any loot the second time I kill the bosses, but I could still join groups and do it just for the fun or for helping or whatever.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Another question, since we're supposed to play like the new expansion, what did they add in the new expansion?
So the Visions of Eternity, it opened up a new landmass, so there's new maps on the world map.
But can the turtle, I guess it's just a two-seater, or does it have other abilities as well?
It does have abilities. You actually control the guns. If you look at the buttons on your
Oh,
bar,
I see now.
this is a combat mount.
Oh, that's sick. Okay.
It has a, well, I'll show you. This thing, it does like a slam, but it does siege damage. There are certain things in the game that you can break with siege damage, and this does siege damage.
Oh, okay. Is it mainly in PvP, or is it also a PvE thing where there's siege damage required?
No, good question. So in 5v5 PvP, which is Conquest, that is very similar to World of Warcraft's Battlegrounds, there are no mounts at all. In World versus World, there is one mount that is designed to be used there, and that's the Warclaw. It's a big cat. And it has some abilities like while you're on the back of the cat, you can throw a harpoon at somebody and dismount them. You knock them off their mount, and then you can tackle them and then basically pick somebody off, stuff like that. But yeah, just the Warclaw in World v World at this time. So other than the Warclaw, all the other mounts are PvE only. Some of them even work in raids. Like there's actually a boss that's a djinn, like a big genie thing, and whenever you attack the boss, it instantly does a shockwave that hits the whole raid, and the common strategy is to start the fight on your mounts, so when it does that opening shockwave, it just knocks everyone off their mounts, but the mount takes the damage instead of the players, so the healers don't have to heal anything after that opening shockwave. That's just what the community has decided to do, is sacrifice their mounts on the opener.
Okay, that's actually very cool. I like that. Okay, interesting. Yeah. I think the mounts are for sure cool, but I was like, when people told me that they have certain combat abilities and stuff, I was thinking, oh, that can get complicated if you have to think about your own abilities and then also like your mount's abilities and which one would be the best for each situation or whatever. But I guess if they don't all work in every situation, then it will be a little bit easier then.
Another thing is, most of the mounts in the game do not, are not combat mounts. Like most of them, if you use their attack, that makes the mount go away and then you're on foot. So it's more of like deciding your opener. And I would love to show you, just do like a quick tour through the mounts after this, if we got time. We got red circles here. There's a common thing that will wreck players here is the red circles are kind of hard to see under the shallow water.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
But the raptor, for example, when you dismount on it, it kind of does this spinning tail lash, and it pulls enemies together to a central point. So if you want to dismount and pull a whole bunch of enemies together so you could like AoE them or something, the raptor's dismount is a very good opener. The rabbit's dismount is kind of like he does like a cannonball, like a kid doing a cannonball into a pool, and it just does a bunch of damage and a crowd control, like a knockdown. So if you want to CC stuff when you dismount, the rabbit opener is good for that. And then, like I said, the turtle, you can stay mounted in combat, as you just saw for a couple of minutes there.
Yeah.
So that one, it's not going to do more damage than a player who knows what they're doing on foot, but you're very, very safe because the turtle has a mountain of hit points. And
that's why I was staying in the mount, because I'm sure that I would do more damage in the mount, since I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
No, it's fine. Again, the world bosses that are in the newbie zone are meant to just be like a good experience for people, not be like super, super complicated.
Yeah, so this one is just like you kill the portals, and then once you kill them, you can attack the boss, or how does it work? Or what do the portals do
That's exactly it. The portals just constantly spam ads. You kill the portals when they appear, and then occasionally his hand or his jaw will get low enough to the ground that you can hit them, and then that allows melee attackers to hit them. If you have a ranged weapon, which I believe both of your weapons are ranged, you can hit him even when his jaw is not close to the ground. So right now there's like a little crosshair looking thing above his hand, and his hand is attackable, and he just lifted his hand back up, so now it's not. So now the only crosshair is like in his mouth. You're finished. So right this second...
One thing that is, wait, the crosshair, where is... Oh, I see it now. Okay. Yeah, one thing that I thought was a bit confusing initially is, in this game, you can use your abilities even if you're out of range or line of sight, right? So the ability will go through, but then it says out of range or obstructed or something. And initially I did not really see that, or I didn't pay attention, and I was just spamming my abilities. And at some point, I realized, wait, I'm doing nothing. What is going on? And I realized it was just like some boulder in between.
Yes, so this always reminds me of WoW's Warsong Gulch, where you could just shoot through trees and hit people on the other side. No, in this game, if it checks the line of sight for every projectile and stuff that you do. And in some cases, you can kind of get an advantage out of that, and in other cases, it's let me give you an example. If you got a ranger with a longbow, that is one of the longest range weapons. A ranger with a longbow in World versus World, which is large-scale PvP, the longbow says it has a certain range. Let's just say 1,000 to make this simple. So let's say it has 1,000 range. But if you are uphill and you're shooting downhill, you can actually get a little bit longer range out of it. Because the arrow doesn't just suddenly disappear at the end of its travel time. It keeps going.
Aha, okay, that's kind of cool.
So in the WoW that I remember, I know it's changed because I never played Dragonflight, but in the WoW that I remember, any mount was effectively just a speed boost. There was no like acceleration, deceleration, turn speed, anything like that. I believe that's changed a bit since Dragonflight. But that was most of WoW. So in this game, like going through the mounts real fast, the first one, you've probably seen this from the trial, there's the Raptor, and I've got some different skins on mine, but this is the Raptor.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And when you dismount, you could pull all enemies together with that spin. The Raptor is most
I thought it just was
known.
damage.
Yeah, the Raptor's most known for basically this, long horizontal jumps. In the zone that you get it in the story, there's canyons, and you use it to leap over the canyons to get to the other side.
Oh, okay, cool.
And the second... Go ahead.
When I used it initially, I thought it was very cool. And at the same time, I was like, oh man, I wish it would like do what I'm telling it to do and not to have like the momentum that keeps going. But like at one side it's like a really cool thing, and the other side can be a little bit frustrating sometimes.
I totally get it, because it definitely doesn't like turn on a dime. So this is the Springer. It's just a rabbit. This one, if Raptor jump forward, this jump up.
Oh, okay.
So that's its main thing, is again, the area where you get it, you use it to traverse, cliffs and stuff, but you're trying to go up them rather than over them. So this is for climbing things, and its dismount, if you choose to use it, is basically knock everything down around you. The next one is the Skimmer. It usually looks like a manta ray. I've got a skin. Mine just looks like a hover bike type thing. But this thing it hovers, so it will go over water and quicksand. To explain,
because I didn't notice. So basically, there's X amount of mounts that have abilities, and then each mount can have a different skin that you can then farm for it.
Correct. Correct. So yeah, there are like a certain number of mounts. However, each mount does have a bunch of skins. However, most of those skins, I have to be honest here, are from the gem store. There is a couple that you can farm in game. Like, for example, I mentioned the Warclaw earlier in World versus World. This is my Warclaw. It's currently looking like a plushie. There is a skin for it that looks like a leopard that has your guild's emblem on the flank, kind of like a pony cutie mark.
That's cute.
And that one is from gameplay. That is from gameplay. You earn that in World versus World. But most of the mount skins in the game are from gems. But a reminder to new players, you can turn gold into gems. So, like, I'm at the point in the game, for me, if I see anything on the gem store I want, like a plushy Warclaw, I can just spend my gold to get it. But you can spend dollars on it if you want. Also, if you'll allow me, I saw one person in your chat said something a minute ago that I would like to answer. They mentioned that it looks like the game only has 10k players on Steam. It is a very, very small slice of the player base that's on Steam. This game has had a standalone client with its own servers for like 13 years. It went on Steam like a year or two ago. And so the only players on Steam are the ones that chose to install via Steam since that time. Like 95% or more of the player base is on the standalone client.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay, I had no idea about that either. I mean, it's not that I was checking, like... I personally am also somebody that, of course, when you play an MMO, you always care about how many other people are playing, because obviously you need to be able to find people to play with when you're doing raids and stuff, right? But I think initially it doesn't matter as much unless the game is actually like full on dead, right? If there's no one else playing, yeah. But just to get a understanding of the game initially, you don't necessarily need there to be like hundreds of thousands of people to play, right?
Right. Yep.
But I guess in this game, how is it with the player base? Because since all of the content is relevant, I guess, or like all of the content is like max level content, as you say, will you find people that do older stuff with you, or are most players just focused on doing like the newer content?
Let me give you 2 examples really quick that should help answer your question. Earlier, when we left the testing room, we got put on different maps of the main town. And that is because one of them was filling up, so the game spun up another one. The second thing I want to point out is that boss we just did. There was like 30 or 50 people there. And that was not in the new expansion. That's old. That boss is 13 years old. But people still do it because of any level. You can go to do that boss and you can do that. They also have, I mentioned legendary equipment earlier. Legendary equipment often involves revisiting old zones, and it kind of like breathes life back into them. For example, many of the first legendary weapons, you have to get a thing called the Gift of Exploration, and that is given to you essentially in the mail when you open up the map. So you will constantly see max level players going through older maps because they're opening it up to get those items for legendary crafting.
Is the legendary system like very complicated? Like, how do you get these legendaries? Is this like a really long quest chain, or like how does it work? And how many legendaries can you have? Is it limited?
There is not a true limit. Okay. I wish I could show you my screen right now. Would you mind opening up my stream for a second? It's just twitch.tv/muckluck. And you could show this to both you and your audience here, and I can give you an example. So a legendary in this game, there are many ways of getting them. And when you have a legendary, it is essentially in the inventory for every character on your account. So if you get a legendary staff, every character on your account can use that legendary staff at the same time. So what you are seeing on my screen right now, on the left, this is called the Legendary Armory. These are the items that are in my Legendary Armory, and the ones that say 0 out of 1, I already have equipped. If it says 1 out of 1, I haven't equipped it yet, and I could just drag that over, and I could, put that in a slot and equip that right now.
Okay.
The other thing about them is they're very flashy. So, for example, this staff, its default appearance is called Bifrost. And it does this rainbow trail that I'm like jumping around right now. And that's just part of its legendary thing. Now I'm playing in the tiny little goblin race, so you don't see it, but on the larger races, it's more noticeable. The other thing is if I right click it when I'm out of combat, I could change the stats on it to any selection of stats that is in the game, which I'm showing right now. So again, it's essentially every single max level staff that it could possibly be all in one slot.
Okay.
And
yeah, that's crazy.
and again, you can use it on every character. Every one of your characters could use this. So like there's legendary heavy armor that's used by 3 classes, legendary medium armor that's used by 3 classes, legendary light, and then there's all the legendary weapons, and then there's things like rings and trinkets and stuff like that. As far as how to get them, most legendaries, again, they're meant to be content that is something that you can do at max level to keep veteran players involved in the game. So most of them are very large projects. However, there are 2 of them that are almost freebies. There is one that they just added a couple of weeks or months ago that is essentially use our new group finder to group for tier 1 fractals, which is 5-man content. Do that 100 times. And it's not even 100, I'm exaggerating. It's like 50 or 60 times, and you get legendary gloves on your account. And that's it.
Okay.
And it's a freebie. So unlike most legendaries where you're getting poorer in game while working on it, that one's a gimme. And there's another one called Season of the Dragons where you get a legendary amulet. And amulet doesn't have heavy, medium, and light armor, so amulet's used by everybody. So the amulet is simply do a bunch of achievements throughout the entire story of Guild Wars 2's Living World DLCs, and then you just get it in the mail, and you just receive it. So usually if someone's like, hey, I want to start Legendaries, what do I start with? I usually tell them those two, and then you could work on the ones that cost you all of those lovely things that you've been putting in your material storage after that.
All right, very cool. Yeah, I guess one more thing I wanted to ask about, like the difficulty of, because fractals are there's like the smaller raids, right? And then the bigger raids, what are they called? With the 10 men?
So fractals were basically they're 5-man content. They're the upgrade from dungeons. Fractals are the things that are similar to Mythic Plus. Raids are raids. Those are 10-man.
Oh, they're just called raids. Okay.
There's another system that they are that is separate from raids called strike missions. Strike missions is quite simply there's no trash mobs. You walk in, there's a boss, you kill it or you don't, and you leave. That's it. That's a strike mission. And strike missions and raids are getting merged into one group finder very soon. They are still working on that. But yeah, raids have a story. There's trash mobs, stuff like that. It's a traditional WoW raid. Strike missions is just a room with a boss. You kill it, you leave. And that's it. But they are merging those into a group finder soon. There's a system that is only a few years old called Convergences, which are 50-man, and they're effectively like the boss you and I just did. Convergences are, there are mechanics, but they recognize there's 50 people there and most of them have no idea what they're doing. They're not that complicated.
Okay, so like these strike missions, they're like less complicated. Like, it's more like a story kind of deal. And fractals, I guess since they're the equivalent of Mythic Plus, they have scaling difficulty. Does it go endless or is there a cap at some point?
You know what? Let me show you. And we're going to go into a lobby. Now, this is just a area. There's a jumping puzzle in here. There's merchants in here, and the most important thing is over here.
Why is everyone naked?
What?
Why is everyone naked? Oh no, that looks like a white suit. I thought they're all naked.
I think you're just projecting. All right, so there's a console up here, and interacting with this lets you pick the fractal you want to do. Now, fractals have 100 levels of difficulty. So, like, if you look, there's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 at the top. The maps in tier 1 are the same maps in tier 2, okay? It's just they're more difficult all the way up to tier 4. Now, the next thing is on higher tiers, they have a thing called agony resistance, which effectively it means you take more damage if you don't have agony resistance. It's a stat they made up to prevent people from just jumping straight to 100 in one go. And but basically, as you go through them, you will build agony resistance, and then this made-up stat becomes a non-issue when you get to the end. But all of these are 5-man stuff. And so if I click on you, it actually says you're level 80. Now, you're not a true level 80 because like you don't have all the traits and skills unlocked at the moment. But in terms of numbers, for the skills you do have and the weapons you do have, you're level 80 in here, which allows you, to do this if you want. Let's do Nightmare on normal mode. That's a fun one. Let's see. So at this point, we could bring 3 EU players with us. If you want to like extend the invitation to your chat and have like a few people join, you could.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
So what is this number? Is this like the power number that you have there? Like this like 166, 172? What does that mean?
Okay, so if you're below level 80, it shows your character level. If you're in fractals and you're above you are level 80, it shows that agony resistance stat that I talked about. Now, we are going to do a low level fractal where agony is not an issue. Okay? Because the tier 1 of fractals, the agony does not matter. But if you were doing the higher level fractals, basically if you got hit by anything, you would explode because you had 0 resistance to it out of 150. That's the short version of it. I am going to run. I hear you are a druid enjoyer. Druid in this game is a little different than yours, but I am going to run support druid, and my job is going to be healing, picking up people that go downstate if anyone does, and just giving buffs. And then y'all's jobs is kill everything.
When you're in just like downstate, can you also like release in these kind of fractals, or do you always have to be rested by people?
If you go down, people can absolutely try to save you, but if you go from down to full dead, it depends on the situation. Because if your group can salvage the situation and then just res you, then great. if they are in the middle of a fight with trash mobs, not a boss, but with trash mobs, you could just respawn and then run back up to them. So it's definitely a case-by-case basis. So, if I may, let me talk about Fractals for a second. Fractals are each a point in time in the Guild Wars story that you're essentially reliving. Kind of like the Caverns of Time situation in World of Warcraft, but Fractals are also like parallel universes. There are actually people in the story of Guild Wars 2 that went crazy because they were just like trapped in Fractals and they kept having to fight other versions of themselves in here.
Oh.
So it's actually a very deep, cool story, but the TLDR is it's 5-man content.
Yeah.
All right, this room is the first boss, so in just a minute we're gonna have one spawn. All right.
Do classes have, like, bigger cooldowns as well? Like really long cooldowns? Offensive cooldowns, I mean?
Nothing like Bloodlust or Time Warp, if that's what you mean. Okay, get to the bubble.
Okay.
Run to the bubble. So basically, boss is doing a big boom, and everybody is running over here to avoid it.
Okay.
Now we have got some gamers in here. We've got some people pushing big numbers. That ended way too fast. Let me request a favor here. Yuki, Alessa, and Emma, can you guys just like auto attack a bit on the bosses so we can see some mechanics?
Wait. Oh, I'm just gonna auto attack from now on. Sorry, I killed that one too fast. That's,
Naguura, hold back, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold back.
Yeah. Now a reminder that basically they are very geared, and these are the tier 1 kind of starter fractals, which is why they're able to do that.
Okay.
All right, this mechanic, you don't see this often. This is dodgeball, basically. The red balls hurt.
Okay.
You got to stand on the circle and capture it. Think like Arathi Basin. You got to capture the circle. The blue ones heal you. The red ones hurt.
Oh.
And then once you capture it, it disappears. And it's kind of like opening a lock for a door up ahead. There we go.
Uh-huh.
And in this room, there are 3 of them. There's one in the middle and one on each of the sides, but the side ones have like blasts coming down. So we just pick one. Now,
So you have to move into the middle, basically, or do you have to click on it somehow?
you don't have to click on it, it's just movement. Now,
Okay.
on the harder difficulties of this fractal, there are mobs attacking you the whole time you're trying to do this. So again, this
But
is...
like,
this is
I don't understand what the purpose. Like, I have to walk through it. Like,
No,
why do I walk in it?
So, okay, do you see
I
the
just
big
stay out.
blue circle that's like around the perimeter of it on the ground?
To me, it's a red circle.
Well, it's... Let's see, where...
Oh, no, it's blue. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm dead.
So anyway, the big circle, as long as you're in that circle, you're essentially filling a bar. You're capturing it.
I
And
understand.
then while
Okay.
you're trying to capture it, it's shooting bullets at you.
I understand. Okay.
All right, so this part, we just use our dodge rolls to get over these red areas as they come toward you. And just try to get to the top of this ramp. As soon as any one person gets to the top of the ramp, they can turn off this thing. So if you've got someone that's struggling behind you, you know, they could just walk up after it's over.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's creepy.
Yeah, so it's called Nightmare.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, this bit basically you're seeing like shadowy versions of a bunch of people that you meet in the story, and they're like just laughing for some reason, and then the boss will come in a moment. All right, so big snake thing. So we're gonna start hitting that. Now we have to CC it. You see the blue bar under its name that just got beaten down really fast?
Yeah.
That is a crowd control bar, or CC bar. Essentially, you hit that bar with stuff that would make a normal character lose control of their character, like a stun, a knockdown, a fear. And you hit those bars with enough of them, and you CC the boss.
Okay, I understand. That's cool. I don't know how much you know about Necromancer, but when I'm in this Shroud form, I guess since I don't have any kind of ascendancy or whatever it's called, do I still want to stay in this Shroud as long as I can, even if all of my abilities are on cooldown and I'm just auto-attacking? Or do I want to leave them and use my
Probably
abilities?
you would... oh, real quick, hold on, we gotta kill these other ads. So we CC the boss now. You would probably if you're just going into the Shroud for damage purposes and not because like you're about to die, you would use your buttons and then just leave and go back to another weapon.
Okay.
Because like the most of your weapon abilities that have a cooldown are quite powerful, which is where weapon swapping comes into play. You know, like you might use all of the buttons on one weapon, swap to another, and then just keep doing that.
Yeah, okay.
Now, on the flip side though, the Shroud protects your hit points. So while you're in it, you cannot take health damage. So you might go into Shroud because you're like 1% health and you're like, oh man, I almost died there. And you might just want to stay in that until you're safe, you know?
Yeah, so like this Shroud health bar, it gets drained by just me being in it, right? And when I take damage, it drains it even faster, basically, instead of me taking health point damage.
That is
that
correct.
How it works?
That is correct.
Okay.
Really quickly, do you have your music in-game turned on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
I'm a big fan of the music on this boss. I just wanted you to know
Okay.
this. All right, so this boss crashes down from the ceiling, so we want to not be in the middle of the room unless you want a funny achievement.
Wait, I have to do what? I'm gonna fall off? Oh god.
No, don't fall off.
Oh god. Ah.
Okay. So, he's got the blue bar, so we want to CC him. You want to hit him with stuns, your fear, yeah, anything you got that would take away someone's control, and we want to break that blue bar.
So while the blue bar is up, do you take any other damage? Like, does the boss take any other damage?
Oh yeah, you can still hit him normally. It's just that
okay.
your main objective is to CC him. See how right now he's stunned?
Yeah, okay.
So the main objective is to hit him with that CC.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, your main priority should be staying alive, avoiding red circles, and then doing damage as you can. Like right there's charging across the room. Okay, so we got a blue bar. Oh, he's invulnerable. Okay, so this is a mechanic. We're gonna split up. Everybody picks one of these circles and play dodgeball, and we're capturing this, just like how it taught us up until this point. Now there are, is there shockwaves on this difficulty? I think there's not. On the harder difficulties, there are shockwaves that come across the room, and you have to jump over them while doing this.
Oh, well. I somehow died, so I'm not sure.
That's okay. That's okay. We can get you up. So this mechanic, you ever play a game and your whole group dies and you do something that just clutches up and then you save everyone?
Yeah.
This has that opportunity. If anyone survives that mechanic, it resurrects everyone else. And it feels so good if you're the last one standing.
I love that.
Okay, so we want to CC him again. So if you got a fear or something, you hit him with that. Okay, he's stunned. And I'm gonna dodge roll that because I was in the path of it.
Oh, that's a nice indicator, so the arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't seen that one before.
Yeah, a lot of late game mechanics can be summarized with the phrase, get out of it if it's red.
Yeah, because that's also something that's confusing to me because obviously I don't know what the animations look like from other specs. So I didn't know, okay, is this like a friendly thing or an enemy thing? But I guess mainly it just goes with like red is bad and blue is good.
Yeah, 99 times out of 100, you get out of red things and you move into blue or green things.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I don't understand what I'm dying to. Is there something else other than the balls I'm supposed to dodge? Like, I feel like I'm not gonna hit by anything.
There are some like red circles on the ground. And it might be that there's a little bit of agony damage. I mentioned agony resistance to you earlier. It might partially be that. Because if you do get hit by something, it would be amplified a little bit.
Okay, maybe.
But, alright, that's the last one. Okay, we get to the bubble again. Okay, so we want to CC him again. And my character, if you look, I've got a red triangle pointing out of me. He basically gave me a debuff that I was about to throw up. And if I aim at a player, it would hit you.
And, like, that's a bad thing? Or is it, like,
basically, I had a red indicator and I could control where it was going. So
I see, okay.
Okay, so we get to the bubble again.
It's not a beneficial vomit then, okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we just burn the boss down and survive all the crap he's throwing at us.
Okay.
So, lots of damage. And that's it. That is the starter difficulty for Nightmare.
Okay, that's nice. I love that.
I'll take the ore. You take
Okay, well, this is fun content. Okay, now we're talking. I mean, the leveling and stuff, like, it makes sense that I should be leveling because then I understand the game better, right? But I play MMOs mainly for, like, combat and PvE and whatever, and that's always, like, the main gripe that I have with MMOs. Like, it takes you so long to get to that point, right? So I think it's really cool that you can test this even if I'm not max level. I think that's actually very nice. I guess how does pet control work? Like, can you ever control these pets, or like do they always attack the thing that you attack?
Okay, so necromancers have what the game labels them as minions. Rangers have pets, and a mechanist, which is a type of engineer, has a giant pet robot. Rangers and mechanists have a lot of control over their pet. They have a come back to me, go hit that, go over there, stuff like that. Minions are supposed to be like mindless, derpy creatures. But the trade-off is you can have a lot of them. So they will just hit what you hit, and they will not stop unless they get killed, or unless that thing dies. However, your minions, every minion button you have, if you press it a second time, it orders them to do something special. The Flesh Golem, for example, which is currently your elite skill, if you hit it a second time, it charges forward like a linebacker and knocks over everything in front of it. And it's actually a very strong CC.
That's interesting, but also, I guess, difficult because you have to like keep an eye on where your minions actually are and which like direction they're facing, because the charge is going to be different depending on where it is, right? Especially if you can't control it.
Well, it goes to your target. So it will go toward your target and do that charge to the best of its ability.
Yeah.
Another funny thing about that one is the charge. It effectively, while it's charging in a straight line, it does the knockback like every second it's traveling. So this is completely true. The fatter the target, the more times it hits it. So if you are fighting a really big raid boss that's just very large, and it does like the blue bar, and it's like, okay, it's time to CC it, and you tell your Flesh Golem to charge, it will charge through it, and it'll hit it like 15 times.
Is this also true in PvP, or do all characters have the same hitbox?
Funny question, all the same hitbox. I made that mistake. When I made my character, which is now my main character, so many years ago, I was like, I'm gonna pick the small guy because it'll be harder to click on in PvP. Nope, doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. So we're supposed to like plug Visions of Eternity. So I guess we're getting down to, we got 30 minutes left, so I'll do that. So Visions of Eternity added a new elite spec to every class. For the Necromancer, which Naguura is playing, that is the Ritualist, which is able to, the Shroud mechanic is different. It summons 3 big spirits, which are kind of like a shaman's totems from WoW. They're stationary, there are cooldowns that can move them, and they each do a thing. One helps with healing, one does damage, one does crowd control. And these spirits, you can use the spirits and the minions if you just like having a big group of dudes helping you out. Whatever, but it is currently, I'm just gonna say it, it's overpowered. It's possibly gonna get some nerfs today, and it would be deserved. It is pretty crazy right now, but Ritualist is also a throwback to Guild Wars 1, which had the Ritualist class in that game. The other 8 classes also got different specializations. The Guardian got a thing called the Luminary, where they make weapons out of blue flame. It's kind of Green Lantern-esque, they just like make up weapons out of this fire for whatever they need. It's very cool. Warrior got Paragon, which is all about like, war cries and stuff like that. Like they do shouts, and it like buffs or heals the people around them and things like that. But all of these things have added new builds to the game, like just Ritualist. Ritualist has a heal build, Ritualist has a DPS build, it has an offensive support build, it has a PvP build. Like just Ritualist added like half a dozen new builds to the game across all the game modes. And they added 9 new specs like that. They added a new player housing thing. I've heard that WoW recently got player housing as well. Guild Wars 2 did about a year ago in Janthier Wilds, and they've added a second player housing setup where basically you have a whole island and you can build over the entire island. And it's massive. So if you like, player housing, and there's form and function with the housing in this game. Like function, you can put resource nodes in there. Like mine has like 20 resource nodes in it, and I just go into it each day and farm them all and essentially use it as like a money generator. But you can also use it just for like, designing a house, setting things up. I've seen people that have made like a Death Star in the sky in theirs. You can make like roller beetle racetracks in there if you want to do like mount races, stuff like that. Let's see. There's the new landmass, Castora, which is added to the map. New story that they added to it. They did a complete overhaul on the skimmer mount. That was the one that I showed you that hovers. You can use it to go over like water and quicksand and stuff like that. And it can now go underwater. So it's like a submersible mount. It can ride on ley lines. It can glide very well. Like you could jump off a mountain, hop on that thing, and travel miles before hitting the ground. So it's a new form of getting around depending on the terrain. Oh, and there's a new raid coming. It's not out yet, but there is a new raid coming that is being added to this one. The mirrors. They didn't ask me to plug the mirrors.
I have a question about the raid. Like, is that common that the raid is not being released immediately when there's an update?
Okay, so a few years ago, they changed their release schedule. And this is when they went to yearly expansions, right? So yearly expansions with a small dev team, the expansions are a bit smaller, but they're also cheaper than their predecessors. So Secrets of the Obscure, Fall, and Janthier Wilds, and this new one, Visions of Eternity, were each the first 3 yearly expansions. And what they do is they're like, all right, here's the list of features we want this expansion to have. And it launches with some of them, and at the 3-month, 6-month, and 9-month marker from release, those 3 points in time, they release more of those features. And there's, I just DM'd you on Twitch, on Discord, I misspoke. I DM'd you on Discord a image that has like the release schedule for this expansion, and it shows like, here's all the stuff that we're putting in this one, and when it comes out. Like, does it come out on the 3-month update or the 6-month update or whatever? So I would say it is common now, since 3 years ago when they started this new release cadence.
Is that mainly because it's just a smaller dev team and it's just not ready when or it doesn't have like a deeper reason on why they're like releasing it later?
I think that's a big part of it. I think this is guesswork. I want to stress. I think part of it is like because 3 months from release of Janthier Wilds, they released some stuff. 6 months they released some stuff. 9 months they released some stuff, and then 3 months later was the next expansion. So by pacing it like this, they're constantly kind of trickling out new stuff to us rather than just like, here's a whole bunch of stuff, we'll see you in a year kind of thing. So I would guess it also kind of helps keep the game alive, by having like a big patch every 3 months rather than once a year.
Makes sense. Are people liking this, or are people more like, oh, I want everything all at once?
It's going to depend on who you ask, There's folks that are going to whine about everything. I would say, like, for example, and I'm just being constructive criticism here, I was not a big fan of the story at the end of Secrets of the Obscure. I loved it at the beginning, but there was a bit of story at the launch, a bit of story at the 3-month, a bit of story at the 6-month, and I felt like the writing kind of fell off. I enjoyed
which expansion was this? Like the last one?
That was Secrets of the Obscure. That was the one before last. But that's just my opinion. Some people are going to love it. It depends on who you ask. But in each patch, they try to have something that you can enjoy. Like, for example, this one, for us veteran players, they added a legendary rebreather, a legendary spear, and a legendary staff. Those are all really big projects that could keep any of us vet players occupied for weeks. So that is, that alone is something. And then the elite specs, we get to enjoy that for a good long time. Now, do I wish the raids were already out? Yeah, of course. But they did give me some new stuff to do, so I'm not too bent out of shape about it.
Okay. And I guess it also gives you time to like potentially figure out how to integrate the new specs, I'm guessing, before like the new raid comes out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, like Ritualist alone in PvE in a raid could be played in 3 big ways. It could be your main healer, it could be a main DPS, or it could be an offensive support that is providing those leftover buffs I mentioned, plus doing DPS. And people figuring out those builds. And there is a community of folks in the game that are basically just high-end math nerds. And they have a benchmark website that a lot of people use as like it's the Bible or something. And they basically, it's like, okay, well, the top ritualist in the world under perfect conditions beating on a golem was able to get this number, and the top ranger in the world under perfect conditions.
They actually have like in WoW we call it simcraft, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same
yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's cool.
And the thing is, like right now, ritualist is really high up there, so I'm expecting that it's going to get some hits with an Earth Bat later today. Now I don't know that for sure. I'd be surprised if it doesn't happen, but it might.
I can't believe it's getting nerfed before I have a chance to play it.
Oh, that doesn't mean it's going to be unplayable.
Yeah. I want to play the overpowered thing though. And when it comes to raids, are raids mainly just bosses first of all? Like, are they like, is it mainly single targets? Is what I'm asking, I guess, or is there like AOE and then single target and like 2 targets, 3 targets? Like, how does that work?
It definitely, I would say most raids are single target, but there are some where there's like waves of ads that come in that you occasionally have to deal with, or the boss splits into copies and you got to each deal with it. The very first raid boss in the game is called Veil Guardian, and he splits into a red, a green, and a blue version of himself. And there's this funny little mechanic. The red one is immune to power damage. You can only hurt it with conditions, things like bleeding, poison, burning, stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, anyone that's condition-based, go left. Everyone else go right. And you do little like assignments like that. And it's one of the only fights in the game where you got to make sure someone there is like flinging dots around. Otherwise, it's just kind of like, okay, cool. you play whatever you want.
How many bosses are there in a raid usually, or can it be anything?
Most of them are 3 or 4.
Okay, so it's like somewhat small. And is it like the difficulty curve? Is like every boss similar difficulty, or does it ramp up?
It definitely ramps up. For example, there is a couple of bosses where I could take a group of 9 people to them, and we could pull, and I could explain the fight while we've started, and I could almost assuredly get you through the fight and just keep peeling you off the ground and throwing you at the boss with res spells until we get it. There are other bosses where that would absolutely not cut it, right? There are others that are far more serious. And
is there a difficulty when it comes to raid, like normal mode, heroic, legendary mode, or whatever, or is it all the same?
There are some, yeah. So every boss in raids has a normal mode. Some of them have basically a button by the spot where you would pull from, and if you hit it, it'll pop up and be like, do you want to activate challenge mode? And the raid has to do a vote, and if the raid says yes, then it changes the boss to challenge mode. Now, the oldest bosses in the game don't have a challenge mode, but like half of them do have a challenge mode. And then there's this funny little thing that they did by mistake, and to TLDR this, they released a boss and it had a challenge mode, and it took a week for the world first to happen because it was so freaking tough. And everyone was like, yo, this is insane. Like 0.1% of the player base are going to be able to pull this off. And even the people that beat it are like, we're never coming back. Like, this is awful. And they were like, okay, we overtuned it. We're sorry. Like, think like, do you remember the story from when Cthulhu first came out? It was similar. So they said, okay, we overtuned this, we're sorry, we're gonna nerf it. But then there was a few psycho people that were like, wait, we like pain. And they're like, okay, we've never done this before, so we're gonna split this into 3 difficulties. So there's normal mode, there's challenge mode, and then this thing that we did by accident will be called legendary challenge mode. And it's there if you want to do it. And they left it there.
That's so amazing that they left it. I love that so much.
Yeah,
that is really cool.
There's like less than 5 bosses in the game currently that have a legendary challenge mode. And those fights are insane. Like, the community has broken it down to where it's like, it's a script, you have to follow it, and if anyone sticks their toe out of line at the wrong time, it's a wipe, and we try again. And even with the script, it might take your static group a week or more of practice to get that kill. They're really tough.
And so, what is usually like the toughest part about bosses? Is it mainly like everyone having to stick to their kind of like choreography, performance, like position stuff, or is it, can everyone do the maximum amount of damage or the healing? Like, what is it that is, or is it a combination of all of these things?
It's a combination. For like, okay, again, comparing to WoW, because we've both played that. In this game, as you see right now, you, even at low level, you don't have to hold still to cast spells. You don't have to worry about a mana bar. So most of the fights are built with that in mind. There's a lot of mobility. You're moving around, you're doing things. And then the other thing is healing in this game is very different, and buffing. In WoW, you buff before the fight. The buff maybe lasts an hour, or Paladin Blessings last less than that. But you know what I mean. The buffs are done before the fight. And then the healing is, long range. You can fire a chain heal banana beam across the room, assuming that still exists, and it will hit who it needs to hit. In this game, if you'll watch me right now, if I am playing a druid, I have a few heals I could throw at a distance. Here's some examples right here. I'm throwing some beams of light. This one, though, this range, see this circle around me? My strongest heals and buffs are here. So I don't need to target you. I just need you to be within that distance from me. Now, so typically what that means is, and again, I told you that if you've got buffs, you're like 2 to 3 times stronger in this game because the buffs are stupid. So typically what that means is, we're all moving together. Even if we've got melee, we need to stay in melee so the melee can melee. It doesn't matter if Billy has a longbow or a rifle, he's in melee with us because he needs to get these buffs and heals every second.
Okay, it's interesting because I was watching some guides before I started playing, and one of the things that I was told was like, even if you're a ranged player, you should probably just stand in melee because it might seem easier to be at range because you see more, but if you're standing at range, you're probably not getting healed. And I was like, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, that is true for competitive PvE content. But if you're on your own in the open world, kite to your heart's content. If you're in PvP or in a worldview world, shoot them from max range, right? But in a raid boss, a strike boss, a fractal or something, you usually want to stay with me because I can, hit you with all these heals constantly, this whole thing. Because I'm basically bombarding the area around me with healing magic, right? And if one guy is way over here and I have to choose heal the 9 people with me or heal Billy over in the corner, Billy's probably not getting healed. You know what I mean? So there are times where an individual has to go off and do a mechanic and come back, and you throw some heals to them. But for the most part, positive beneficial spells in this game hit 5 targets in the area where you fire them. So you're not targeting players with healing magic, you're targeting the ground in an area with healing magic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Interesting. And how long does it take, a really good group to clear all of the bosses then, or all of the raids?
There are people that have done races for that, and it's a couple of hours to clear all, because there's 8 raid wings, and each raid wing has 3 to 4 bosses. So we're talking 25 to 30 bosses. I don't remember the exact number in total. Okay,
and so if you're a somewhat good group, not the best in the world, but you're decent, how long would it take you to clear a new raid approximately? How many wipe, how often do people wipe on a boss? Is it 50 times, 500 times? I don't know.
It very much depends. So the last time a new raid was added was last year when Janthier Wilds came out. There was a raid called Mount Balior, and it's got 3 bosses in it, and one of them, but this is just a funny thing, is the final boss, because you have to, there's 2 bosses, you kill them in any order, and then once they're both dead, boss number 3 spawns. Boss number 3 was easy. Boss 1 and 2 was oh my god, it was a cluster muck trying to figure out those. It was nasty. One of the bosses has this cloud around him that corrupts boons, and what that means is not only do you lose the boon, it flips it. So might becomes weakness, regen becomes poison, things like that. That guy sucks. I hate that guy. So, I mean, that one, people figured it out in time, and we got it, and now there's a strategy, and everybody can do it.
Can you remove boons if you want to?
It's usually not worth it. Even if you've only got the boons up part of the time, it's better to just learn how to avoid the mechanics that take them away. Because again, they are a massive multiplier to your power output.
Okay.
Also defensively, to give you some examples, the boon protection, it reduces incoming damage by 33%. That's huge.
That's insane.
Right.
That's so
Bosses
much.
are, the most recent bosses they made are balanced around assuming you've got that. If you don't have that, it's a problem.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, very cool. Can you explain, maybe, just to understand rates and, progression a little bit more, is there like a mechanic that you can explain to me that would like the different parts of it? Like, is there a mechanic that you can like think about at the top of your mind where, you know, half the group has to do this and the other half has to do that to solve the mechanic somehow? Like, is it like more puzzly, I guess? Or do you just have to not stand in a bed and hit this mob or whatever?
Sure,
you know?
I can give you an example. Okay. Do you want me to link you a video or just talk?
We can do both, yeah. I wouldn't mind looking at a video.
Okay, so what I would ask of you is I'm gonna link you a video guide that I did a long time ago for a boss called Sabbatha. If you are up for it, open that video and just mute it and just have that play on screen, and I'll talk your ear off about what you asked. Okay, so Sabbatha is a raid boss, and Sabbatha is a bandit lady with a bunch of bandit friends, and she's got a flamethrower. You fight her on a platform that is high up in the air, and she does a whole bunch of attacks that damage the platform, literally the ground. So if too many of your, if you miss too many mechanics, they will hit the platform and break it, and you lose ground, and it will fall, and then everybody dies. So on this,
like, does it? Do you lose parts of it first, or does it just when it's dead, it's dead?
When it's dead, it's dead. It's the total thing.
Okay.
There are other fights where you can lose parts, but for this one, it's just that. Now, on this fight, you've got multiple jobs. You see there's patches of fire in the video. She has a thing where she basically sprays like napalm at the farthest away person. So one person is constantly staying at range on purpose, and they are basically baiting out those napalm attacks to get that to not hit the raid. Then she will occasionally whistle for her cronies who are on other platforms that are in the trees above you with cannons to fire down at you. And what you have to do is send people out to these little things on the side of the platform that are called jump pads.
Okay.
And you have to bait her to throw a bomb at you on purpose and use the explosion to rocket yourself up into the trees and take out the guys shooting you with cannons, and then go, come back down. So you've got a group of people that are on the boss, and they're kind of orbiting around the boss because you're trying to avoid getting hit by your flamethrower. You've got one guy at a distance that is baiting out the napalm thing, so that's his job. And you've got people that are running over to the jump pads to get launched up to take care of the bandits. And if anybody gets their hand on a bomb, they can throw it to the people that need to be launched from the jump pads to go take out the bandits. And anyone who doesn't have a specific job I just mentioned, those leftover people, they're the ones that are just unga bunga DPS, just don't stand in the fire.
Okay. This is okay. That sounds very, very cool. I liked it a lot. Is there like when you have a static group, do people usually just like stick to a certain role, or do people just play everything a little bit?
Depends on the group. Some people have favorites. I, myself, love playing support. So there are different types of support. There are supports that provide alacrity, there's supports that provide quickness, there's supports that focus on barriers, which is effectively increasing your maximum hit points so that you instead of having 20k max health, you might have 30 with the barrier, and stuff like that. So I like playing supports. I feel more in control of the situation if I'm doing that. But you'll absolutely, you've got some people where you'll be like, oh, we need this. And they're like, oh, okay. And they open their character selection screen and there's 70 characters and they just pick the right one like it's a deck of cards. There's absolutely people that are like that in the raiding scene. But you'll have people that have their favorites that just play their favorites. Okay.
And when it comes to these like special jobs, like, let's say you're in a static group, is it always the same people that do the special jobs, basically? Or is it like class dependent?
Okay, so...
Like, am I sending up certain classes to the platforms, or is it always like the best players that know how to do this stuff,
So in the case of the platform thing, the job there is to go up there, kill a threat, and come back. So that is a DPS's job. So you have to get like at least 2 or 3 competent DPS to go out, basically assassinate a target, and return to us every couple of minutes. And now the flak kiter, the person who is staying at a distance and baiting out the napalm sprays, that's usually one of the healers. I mentioned to you in any group of 5, there's usually 1 healer. That means in any group of 10, there's usually 2, 1 for each of the 5-man groups. And one of the 2 healers will be standing in that pile of people, and the other one will be at a distance and baiting out that ranged mechanic. Now, there is a thing in this game that people just call role compression, and role compression is basically try to just shove as many jobs onto the healer as possible. And so, on any fight, if there's a mechanic, if it's possible for the healer to do it, the community has kind of decided the healer's going to do it, and then the DPS can do more unga bunga. But you occasionally, you occasionally have times where it's just not possible. Or maybe the healers do, and they're like, yo, I can't keep up with this, and I need someone else to do this thing, take this off my plate. And that happens sometimes.
And they listen to them?
I mean, in my experience, yeah, but I mean, there's...
Wow.
Yeah, there's... I'm not going to say that, like, every single person in Guild Wars 2 is an angel, but in my experience, it has been one of the nicest MMO communities that I've been in. So usually, yes. Usually, yes. Like,
okay, that's very cool.
I'll give you an example. There's a fight called Soulless Horror. I told you about the necromancer lady who lost her body, and there's a lot of minions getting thrown at you. One of the minions that she throws at you, if it dies, it explodes, and it would hurt the group. You don't want it to die in the pile of your friends. So right before it dies, you want to hit it with a knockback and send it flying away from the party, then do the last hit. And if you have any DPS that do not know how to tap the brakes, it becomes a problem because they blender this thing and then it blows up in the raid and the raid is in trouble. So one of the strategies is that one of the strategies for that fight is that you will have the healer, if you've got a druid, it's good. Druids can use a longbow, and a longbow druid can do a knockback with one of the longbow skills. But my first time ever doing that, I was like, all right, look, I'm trying to heal these people. I'm trying to cleanse all these conditions. I'm trying to keep buffs on them. I'm trying to do a little damage. And I occasionally have to tab target over to that guy and knock him to Timbuktu or we all die. I can't do that last thing. Can someone take that off my plate? And that was my first ever raid on Soulless Horror. And someone was like, yeah, I got it. And they just took over the knockback job. And then I was able to do all the other stuff that they had left me with. And we got it. We got the kill. So yeah, it happens sometimes.
I had one more question about raid fights in general. Like when there's a new raid that comes out, but also old ones. Like do people generally try to figure out raid fights themselves? Like is that an appeal for raiding as well, to do some like a blind raiding where you figure out the mechanics as a group? Or do people generally just like wait for the first guide to come out and immediately watch that and then go in with a guide?
Oh, I mean, there's absolutely an appeal to it. Do you know Preach? He's a streamer and a YouTuber.
Yeah.
He recently visited Guild Wars 2, and he did all the raids with a group of 10 people blind. And so they wiped a lot. But it was really cool watching them figure stuff out and watching them slowly,
Can't believe he didn't ask me. I would have loved to join.
You'll have to take that up with him for sure. But yeah, he recently cleared all the raids, and it was funny because afterward he would watch my guides on how to do it, and they would learn something, be like, oh my god, we could have, and they'd be like, oh my god, that's so much easier than what we came up with. So yeah, there are some people that will do that, and if they want to do that, that's totally fine. There are others that will just watch the guide. Now, of course, like I'm a guide maker, so usually when these come out, I try to get some friends that are intelligent raiders, figure it out as fast as possible, get out a guide, because you gotta fight the algorithm as fast as I can as a YouTuber. So I'm usually just trying to get the information as fast as I can. But yeah, some people enjoy that for sure. Oh, someone just pointed something out to me to point out to you, which is another cool feature of this game. No downtime. No Tuesday can't play because it's maintenance day. They don't have that.
Oh?
So
how do they apply patches?
They have this fancy thing where basically it'll just pop up and say a new build of the game is available in the middle of your screen. You just log out and back in, you're on the new build. That's it.
Oh wow, it's magic.
The servers were down for like 3 hours in the last 2 years, and they sent everyone an apology and they gave out mount skins because they said they were sorry.
What? That's actually insane. Wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And how does NA and EU work? Like the regions? I guess you can play together.
Sure. Okay. So NA and EU. You'll remember I had to ask you like what region you were on.
Yeah.
They gave me the ability to swap between them for stuff like this. But NA and EU, they can whisper each other. They can mail to each other. They have the same trading post, so they share an economy. Okay. So the items are shared between them, but you will not see each other in game. Like, you could even group together and use party chat to talk to each other, but we will, like, if we could be standing in the same spot in game, we will not see each other. So we couldn't do like a fractal together or a dungeon or a raid or something like that. That's really the only division. There used to be separate servers, where you log in, like NA had like 10 servers and EU had 10 servers, and you had to be on the same server as other people for some stuff. But now it's just there's basically an NA mega server and there's an EU mega server. Now occasionally you'll end up on a different copy of a map. Like earlier you and I were in Lion's Arch and we ended up in different copies of Lion's Arch, and then we hopped to get onto the same map. That happens. Basically the system is set that whenever a map gets fully populated or near full, they just spin up another one, like a virtual server. And so you occasionally need to hop maps to get with your friends, but that's it. As long as you're all on NA or you're all on EU, you can play together.
Interesting. Okay. And does NA and the EU then get the rates and everything at the same time, or is that? Oh, okay. Oh my God! Global release, unbelievable.
Yeah, like again, we're expecting a patch any time now. Actually, it might have already happened. I'm not sure, but we're expecting a patch any time now. And what is it? It's like 6 for you. It's noon for me. So, but yeah, it's going to happen at the same time.
Interesting. Okay, very cool.
Almost out of time, but in Divinity's Reach, the human capital, which I know you have on your map, on the left side of it, there will be a whole bunch of holiday stuff. It'll be snowing. There will be like a snowman strike boss. I'm not sure if you can do that before level 80, but you could try. There's a whole bunch of events over there.
Okay, cool. Are there like balance patches? Are they frequent? If something is like really like overpowered, or is it just like every 2-3 months or something?
If something is completely broken and it's like making the game as a whole a worse place for most of the player base, they will do a hotfix and they'll be like, all right, this elementalist skill is disabled. Don't take this trait. It doesn't do anything right now. We're working on it. And then
that's crazy. Okay, interesting.
Now that's rare. I can only think of a few times that's happened in the 6 years I've been here. But I've seen that a couple times. Usually it's every couple, like month or couple of months between balance patches.
Okay. Did they say when the raid is going to come out?
I believe it was on, hold on. I'm double checking the picture that I sent you earlier. What does it say for raid? What does it say? Okay, so new raid encounter with challenge mode is in update 1. Update 1 is 3 months after the launch of Visions of Eternity. So we've probably got like 2 months and then we get the next raid.
All right, so what are we doing tomorrow? Are we going to play some PvP?
I'm game for whatever. We could try some PvP, probably, get our faces punched in. Do whatever we want to do. But PvP, like I said, it is a game mode where it'll scale you to max level. So you don't have to worry about your character being behind, and you can just focus on your own gameplay. Okay, well, thank you. I had fun. I hope you did too, and I will see you tomorrow.
Yeah, good. Thank you so much for explaining and coaching. I probably forgot half the things you said until tomorrow, so excuse me. But I'm trying my best to keep up. It's a lot of information.
Totally understandable. All right, see you then.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.